IGP Christian Tete Yohonu. He's pledging protection for journalists ahead of the Akwatia by-election. You know that September 2nd is the date slated by the EC for this to go on. I've got Mr. Wanda Medilo in the studios, and you know he's part of the NDC's communications team. Wanda, hello, good morning. Good to see you.
Yes, a very good morning to all your listeners. It can't be any better. We thank God for life over the years. We're still in a morning mood, and I'm particularly very, I won't use the word moody, but very sober times like this. But the country would have to make some progress. We can mourn, we can do all that we can do, maybe even alongside, while we take the livelihood of Ghanaians very seriously going forward. But again, to the families of the 8 gallant men, we want to say that we salute the gift they have given to us as a country. We appreciate what they have done, the legacies they have left. There's a fund that has been launched for their children and family and dependents. We want to encourage everybody to contribute wholeheartedly to this fund in order that the people they have left behind are not shortchanged or left to the pain of losing a loved one. That said, we salute the family.
And that's the thing about grieving. You know, when it hits hard, but for those who, you know, are really living it, so for the party, for the family members, that pain and that grief, it lingers on longer than those of us who, shall I say, are maybe on the outskirts of the tragedy. So
yeah.
We're still wishing you, commiserations for this loss. I know for the party, it's a hefty blow, especially on a day like this when we're about to talk about by-elections and we think about Dr. Amani Boama, may his soul rest in peace, and he has been described as the heartbeat when it comes to NDC's election strategy. So at a time like this, I suppose that he would have been front and center, strategizing, making sure that things go on smoothly in the by-election in Akwatia. But nonetheless, I know that you have the men for the job, and he's done a lot to leave that indelible mark that will still go on. And as a country, we still continue to mourn and we grieve. But as we say, the show must go on. We're talking about Akwatia by-election. Again, September 2nd, we know the action is going to happen. We were just playing some tapes there and some clips there of the IGP assuring peace and some level of protection and security. He says that some 600 police personnel have already been deployed to ensure that what we saw in Ablekuma North does not reoccur. And we know that there were a lot of unsavory scenes during the rerun of some 19 polling stations. And in fact, you know, the morning of, we expected a fairly uneventful day, but things certainly did not unfold in that regard. A lot has also happened as far as the Akwatia seat is concerned. Even before we got up to this point, even before the demise or the death of Member of Parliament-elect Ernest Kumi, there were issues to contend with. Let's take a quick look at the timeline, and then we can talk about moving forward, the strategy that is going to be deployed by the NDC as far as winning this seat is concerned. So, timeline of the Akwatia 2024 parliamentary election dispute. So December 8th, 9th, 2024, vote counting and declaration. The EC declared Ernest Kumi of the NPP winner with some 19,269 votes, defeating Henry Boachi Yadom of the NDC, who had some 17,206 votes. You know that this was rejected by the NDC. The NDC cited some irregularities in that regard. Now, fast forward a few days later, December 10th to the 15th, 2024, there was that disputed collation. Due to disagreements, Akwatia's results were finalized in Accra instead of in the eastern region. The NDC had alleged at the time that the NPP lacked original pink sheets and were relying on photocopies. December 20th, 2024, some legal action there was taken. Henry Boakye Yadom of the NDC filed a petition seeking an injunction against Ernest Kumi's swearing in. And you'll recall there was some back and forth. Is he going to sit? Is he not? Then he actually left the chamber, I recall, watching it live. And we can also play that for you. January 2nd, 2025, court injunction. The Koforidua High Court granted a 10-day injunction barring the EC and the Clerk of Parliament from recognizing Ernest Kumi as MP-elect. January 7th, 2025, there was that swearing-in controversy. For those of you who watched it live, we covered it. Ernest Kumi was sworn in despite the injunction, choosing to face any legal consequences. February 19, 2025, there was an arrest warrant issued. The Koforidua High Court issued a bench warrant for Ernest Kumi's arrest for contempt of court. What a saga it was leading up to what we have now. Ernest Kumi, now late, has left that seat vacant and the by-election will go on. Wanda, just let me pick your thoughts on how you saw the journey from election day, December 2024, up until even February of this year, early this year. The NPP has said that you were just looking to frustrate the young MP-elect.
No, we've had a couple of people, functionaries of the NPP, make the argument that the NDC hounded, Ernest Kumi out of office. I think that is a fallacy. It cannot be true. The case began way before even the NDC took over office in January 7th. I mean, the dispute with that election is no news in this country. Several parliamentary seats have been engulfed in controversies, such as that of the former energy minister in the Volta in Akwatia seat, for instance. What's the name? The name of Peter Amewu's seat has been in contention before. I remember Ayawaso Wesogon and Fred Amu and the NDC candidates. He's been in court for years. Even we've had occasions to, you remember Sakande Dramani. He also he actually went to jail because of that. So election petitions, election disputes in court are not new in this country. We have seen that over and over. We've even seen presidential elections in court. I mean, in 2020.
That's right.
2013, 2014, 2013, for instance, the MPP took the NDC to court. And in 2020, the NDC also took the MPP to court. So it cannot be the case that the NDC is or was trying to hound Ernest Kumi out of office. May his soul rest in peace. I indeed share in the pain of the family at this stage, that certainly we are going forward as a country without even looking back, knowing that somebody actually, died in the line of duty. So it's a sad one. It's a difficult one for everybody, both the NDC and the MPP. But like we all knew, when you enter into politics, you know that there's going to be an end to something some way, somehow. It's either you are no longer interested, somebody else has taken over the seat, or you are no more, or you are diseased, or you are, incapable of running the office, and so you step aside, or you are fired. I mean, it's also possible. So when the politician goes into any of these contexts, you should have that at the back of your mind, that these are the exit routes allowed by the Constitution of the Republic and other laws backing it. So I indeed believe that Ernest Kumi, when he was to be sworn in on that day, he was asked whether he was ready for the consequence and whether he knew what he was doing. And he said he knew. And so when the court ruled in contempt, in fact, the contempt was even overturned before he lost his life and all that. So it was a difficult journey getting to this stage. In fact, to prove that further, the NDC is not even presenting the candidate that took and the committee to court. How about that? Why is nobody looking at that angle? That despite all this, if the NDC was only bent on removing Enescomi and making Henry Boachi Adam the MP, then we could have as well gone to do a proclamation and take him on.
You decided, though, to open up the arena and allow for others to contest, which is different to what the strategy employed by the NPP. Why was it important for you to have even competition before the actual by-election?
No, we did that because first and foremost, that's a constitutional provision within our remit as a party. Number two, we did that because we always listen to the grassroots and what they say. What are they saying? Do you want us to go and endorse this one to continue? They say, no, let's do it fair. If he wins, fine. If he doesn't win, whoever wins will support the person. So it is a more democratic approach to resolving this issue than just, the blanket decision to field one person against the other. And we feel that was the right thing to do at the time. And indeed, the results have proven.
That's right.
Boachi Adam rather even became third.
In fact, let's put up the results on the screen so that you can follow along. You have Henry Boachi garnering some 226 votes. You have Bernard Bediako, 380, and then Erasmus, 366. So in fact, having opened it up for others to contest means that maybe you now have the best candidate to put forward.
Yes, so that's what the constituency people are saying. That's what the grassroots is saying. So in other words, people were even more popular, as it were, within the ranks of the party than the one that they seem to think that is hounding Enescomi out of office. Now look at this. The gentleman Bernard Bediako was the lawyer to
Henry Boachi.
He's his personal friend and all that. So it's still again about what is the grassroots saying, what is the popular opinion of the people in the constituency, and that's what we respected. Nothing more, nothing less. Imagine with this reality now, all things being equal, Henry is now 266, as against even his closest contender who is 366, over 100 votes. Imagine you see there. So somebody is being more popular. And above all of them is another most populous person, which is Diako, who garnered 380. So we, as a party, are very sensitive to what the grassroots was saying. And based on our research, we decided to open this up for other people to participate or play within the space. So it's not true. It cannot be the case that the NDC only wanted Enescomi out of office. In any case, did we hold a gun to kill anybody? Certainly no. The NDC did not go to kill anybody. When it comes to death, I don't want to talk plenty, but when it comes to death, it's virtually not in our hands. God decides.
That's right.
God brought us here and sometimes takes us at his own will and gesture. So it's unfunctionable for people to think that the NDC hounded Enescomi out of office. Going forward, the party has put in place some guidelines on campaigning and what to do. So we've been on the ground, we've been campaigning, we've been telling the people what they need to hear and what we intend to do as a party in Akwatia. Akwatia is a diamond, is it diamond or diamond mining area, and so the situation with mining now, in terms of galamsey, in terms of reclamation of the lands, in terms of the security operations on the land and all that, does play a lot within that space. We have won that seat before, and Baba Jamal, he won his one term, and then the lady we used to say that she's a hairdresser and all that, beat Baba Jamal, and then she herself was beaten in the election after and all that. So where we are. So Akwatia is not the new constituency to the NDC. We are very determined in winning that seat back to the NDC. People say, oh, you have all the numbers in parliament. Why do you need this one again?
In fact, that's been the critique that, why are you expending so much energy? You already have your 2/3. Allow for the seat to be retained by the NPP.
No, so again, that is what is required in democracy. If we don't give seats to people because they are suffering or because they don't have, you give it to people who can develop the area, who can speak for the area, who can be good advocates for the area, who can be good leaders for the area. And you know that Akwatia is virtually a very, poor environment as compared to what you see in the elite environment in Accra or any other places. So we need a leader who can lobby for projects, who can allow the people to develop, who can develop the area, who can also bring hope to the people. So we cannot leave that in the hands of the MPP just because they lack seats or they want seats. It's not a gift. The Constitution says that it must be contested, and we are contesting it. What we have seen in the past in the MPP is that sometimes they tell us, "Oh, we are not going to contest the seat," and before the day of the election, they are in the consensus.
Are you referring to that communique that we were made privy to? Maybe it was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, where the NPP has declared that they will not be contesting in Tamale Central in honor of the memory of Comrade Mutala. Are you saying that because of what you've seen before, you are looking at that presser with the side eye?
Not just with a side eye, but that should leave a lot of people in awe. You should be concerned that in Ablekuman, they said they were not contesting the elections, but they showed up in full force.
They still stand by that. In fact, the executives say they didn't contest.
Oh, but we saw party executives there. We saw, in fact, national executives in that place. We saw former ministers in that place. So what kind of disunity or what kind of disrespect or dishonor are they, displaying to their own party?
But surely you don't think, as far as Tamale Central is concerned, they're going to go back on their word and maybe, you know...
It's difficult being in Accra and issuing directives. Somebody contested Mutala in the last elections, spent money, popular as it were, have put in some measures to win the seat. Now, if you sit in Accra and you say nobody should contest the seat, they may even go independent. Some of these people can decide to go independent. So it is the lack of consultation, the lack of clarity of thought, and then the lack of leadership by the MPP that brings us to this basis where, you take a decision and an individual flouts the entire decision of the National Council and nobody says anything. I thought that if the MPP had principles, by now they would have been punishing Akwatia for going against the decision of the National Council.
Maybe something has happened on the back end that we're not
So you inform us, because this is a democracy. You inform the public that we took this decision. Upon second thought, this is what has come up. So we are going this way. Then we can trust you when you bring up your press releases or information from your closet. Because as it stands now, how do you trust that source? Because this is a source that has vehemently run the press conference to say that we are not contesting. Then it end up that they contested. And the very people who issued the press statement himself was in that place. So how then do I judge you? You see, we are judged by our words. We are either condemned or whatever, appreciated by our own words.
You say actions even speak louder than words.
Exactly. So when we see you there after you have said you are not coming, and it didn't happen only the day of elections. Few days to the elections, we saw the advance in the constituency campaigning, and we asked questions and nobody said anything. And yet on the day of election, some showed up with pepper spray and all that to fight. So it's not something we want to take.
Speaking of pepper spray, Wanda, hold that thought for me. Let me also bring Mr. Victor Doke. He's a security lecturer and analyst into the conversation. Let's assess what he makes of the police personnel or the police preparedness ahead of the Akwatia by-election. Mr. Doke, hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, Robin.
Well, we're looking towards the by-election slated for September 2nd in Akwatia. We've heard from the IGP on the plans that have been made to ensure that there's security and there's protection so that what we saw in Ablekuma North isn't repeated come September 2nd. How do you evaluate the current training and preparedness of the police for the Akwatia by-election?
Thank you very much. In every event such as this, you would expect that the state security, which is the police, will be very much ready with regards to tactical training, response, emergency response, and then intelligence, activities. Now, with regard to the Akwatia by-election, this is a very much bigger, larger event than what we had in Ablekuma North. One, I have always maintained that when you have a blueprint, such as the Preparedness of Security mechanism that was put in place to ensure the by-election was successful, you just replicate it or you build on it. So preparations have advanced. We saw the IGP visit his men on the training grounds and his statement with regards to those who want to foment trouble, his assurance of additional men in the coming days, and then also his assurance of protecting the fourth estate. It's not from the fourth estate who go in there. There's words, strong words with regards to those who foment trouble will be picked up immediately. All these are part of the preparations. However, we know two political parties are vying. They have advanced teams weeks before even this day. How are we able to ensure that we kind of infiltrate their camps to ascertain that they are adhering to very responsible politicking in that area and not trying to organize groups to foment troubles? So for successes to be made, and then for you to come out and ascertain that your strategy, which you've spent resources in training these men, is successful, then you need not to ignore the aspect of intelligence and then the aspect of early warning systems, which I'm sure should have been implemented in Akwatia by now. On the ground, we need to put in measures to control the territory which you are supposed to, guard. Roadblocks, which is very necessary, to check, search every weapon, vehicle that is going in there for illegal weapons. You check, especially, are there a group of young men being bused to those areas? You ask questions. You have to implement strategies such as banning motorbikes, banning the wearing of smocks so people do not conceal weapons and try to snap ballot boxes using the motorbikes. Motorbikes are one of the easiest ways of transport when it comes to a group of guys who want to foment trouble. So all these things will have to be considered. If not, the IGP also spoke about the, flying of drones, which is in the right direction.
Right.
In areas where it's not accessible. Very good. And I hope that the feeds from the drone will be used, and that will also help in reactionary processes when it comes to emergency response. By and large, it is how quick the team on the ground would respond to emergencies that would determine the success. And we hope that everything should go well. Responsible, media speaking from the political elites, because we know sometimes they are tempted to speak out of anger because things are not going their way. So we also look at that, arrest whoever that foments trouble. The IGP has also assured that. And then the political elites themselves should be picked up if anybody uses the fourth estate to foment tensions or propagate misinformation and disinformation. So hopefully we'll get a successful by-election in the future.
Now, yesterday we also saw some simulation exercise carried out by the police. How effective are simulation exercises in anticipating real-world scenarios? And there was also some critique that I heard that, is the police not giving away their MO by showing us their plans?
Not at all. One, simulation exercises are very necessary with regards to you going to be deployed for attacks such as this. It prepares you physically and mentally to be able to ascertain a similar incident or try to respond if you should find yourself in that situation. But you made mention of something. How realistic is it? Now, in the security space, we have a mantra that we say, until you hear the first gunshot or you experience the first sign of trouble, all the training you've gone through is somewhat not effective. In essence, your training would be implemented as and when, and that would determine whether it's successful, your training was apt or not, and if you even have to revise it. The first sign of trouble, the first sign of gunshot will determine whether you had a successful training or not. So training is good, but on the ground, it may look different. and you would have to what? Change your dynamics, change your strategies. And that is why you need the aspect of early warning system and then the intelligence to give you information as when the changing dynamics are happening. Then you also revise what? Your strategies. You have the mobile teams, okay, the men in the pickups, armed, who are going to respond quickly to situations. And then if you're able to do that, you can say you have been successful. But by and large, you can train, but it doesn't mean that you'll be successful until you are able to curb incidents.
Now, speaking of the mobile team, the IGP says there's going to be a prison on wheels, if you will. What do you make of that? Effective strategy?
Very good one. Deterrence, but picking up these young men, those who flout the rules and regulations. And what happens? We need to see that a thorough prosecution is done, not just picking them up and then calls come from some quarters and then they are released. So we are yet to see how effective that is going to be, done. He said it. Let's see on the D-Day, the van is there. If anybody goes against the laws, they are picked up, and then we can now monitor
absolutely
what is going to happen, and then we can assess and see what's very effective or not effective.
Because I also took note of what the IGP says. He says whoever calls from whatever quarters, he will not be listening. He says he's advised the parties and their executives not to get involved. If any of your members are picked up, well, they're picked up and they'll face the full rigors of the law. But of course, the saying is, we live to see. But final question, though. In your expert opinion, what is that singular most important reform that you think is needed to secure our elections, particularly by-elections moving forward? It's always very contentious. We always have to deal with a lot of violence. The aftermath is always can be quite murky. What do we need to do moving forward?
There's a lot that we need to do. One, I'll just mention some. The responsibility and the mandate of the election management bodies themselves. Okay, how transparent, accountable are they? Number two, the political parties, the modus operandi of their campaigning. We know the winner takes all syndrome is always at play. So by-elections are, very much tensions as ever. And the populace, well, the state agencies with regards to education and sensitization. The dynamics have changed with regards to our elections in general. The violence is getting more and more than we had anticipated and expected. 2024 has shown us. And by and large, you can draw the conclusion that the EMBs were somewhat challenged in as much as we had challenges with regards to our security mechanisms. Holistically, all these stakeholders need to go back to the drawing board and look at what went wrong with regards to implementation, strategies, and whatnot. And then it comes back to the political parties themselves. State institutions have always said we need those state institutions to be very much independent and resilient. We have the politics influencing most of the decisions, which is very unfortunate. So in sum, these are just some of the things that we need to look at, revise whatever went wrong, and hope we learn from our lessons by and large.
Certainly. Mr. Doke, thank you so much for your time. Always grateful for your expert perspective.
Thank you.
And that was Victor Doke, security lecturer and analyst. But back in studio, I still have Wanda Medillo with me. We're talking about the Akwatia by-elections as we look forward to it come September 2nd. Now, Wanda, yesterday I was watching another platform and I was listening to NPP's Haruna Mohammed. He says, I'm quoting him, he says, I have intel. NDC is training hoodlums for Akwatia by-election.
You want us to dignify him?
I want to find out if there's any truth to that.
Haruna is just one very happy-go-lucky guy when it comes to the microphone. He gets too excited and say things without substance. And even if he was here, I would have told him the same thing. What intel? We've grown past this crude, propaganda of just getting up and saying what you want to say without even looking at your own image and integrity. I mean, NDC training hoodlums. We beat you in the main elections where we had 276 constituencies. We beat you fair, clear. It was one of the cleanest elections with records. And you were, what was it? What was his position? Deputy organizer or deputy youth organizer?
He's the Deputy General Secretary.
Deputy General Secretary.
The Deputy General Secretary.
In charge of operations. You sat down aloof, beaten in the election square and fair when you were in government. And we were out of government. We were in opposition. You had all the benefits of incumbency at the time. We didn't train troops at the time. It's now that we're in government that we'll train troops. It's absurd, excuse me to use the word. It's very absurd to say that. Number two, the record of training foot soldiers lies with the MPP. You remember when Manasseh did this expose on people being trained at the old Flagstaff, what's the name, Castle, and all that. That's what led to the uproar about vigilantism. That's what led to also West Ogon. That's what led to, enacting a law that bans or disbands
vigilante
groups, including the involvement of the Peace Council at the time in engaging the parties to disband their groups and all that. And then you are 8 months out of government, and this is what you say. I think it's childish, excuse me, and I think it's absurd to the highest order to think that the NDC in this current form and shape would need a vigilante group, would need a tag group in order to win elections in Akwatia. I think it's terrible to think along those lines, especially where we are as a country now. I didn't expect that they would go along those lines. You can speculate and say, oh, well, maybe your opponent is planning to go high-handed.
He says he has intel.
Which intel he hasn't given to anybody, even though he's not under compulsion to give some of those intels. But that intel should be coming out of a certain stupor, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe out of a dream, out of some, sleep overnight with a bad dream. But to just get up and say, I have intel. So if I stay here right now and say, I have intel that, what's his name? I don't even want to dictate him.
Let's move on.
I have intel that he is this, then we should believe it. We should take this country serious. They have just been out of government 6 months, 7 months out of government. This slumber is getting way too annoying, way too nauseating.
You say they are still reeling from what happened some 7 months ago.
And he in particular should stop talking. He led his party down. There were places they couldn't even get polling agents to go and man the election. There were areas that over 25 polling stations, Baumia got 0. As sitting Deputy General Secretary, Baromia got 0 in 25 polling stations of this country. How did that happen? Did they not have polling station executives in those places? Did they not have an agent in that place? Who did they vote for? This is a party that should know better and not give us this kind of, leadership in the opposition. We deserve better as a country. We deserve better as a people, and we also deserve better as a political grouping. That you have these kinds of people in opposition who think that they can just say anything and get away with it. I think it's neither here nor there. This won't discern it to that.
A lot has been said about Ablekuma North and what happened, and I want to get it from your perspective. What do you think actually went wrong? Who would you say was at the heart of the disturbances that we saw? Because on one end, the NPP says, well, we came, just to support our candidate and so on and so forth. What went wrong?
Largely, both parties are to be blamed. There is no conflict without two parties. There's always, if there should be a fight in this studio, it means that two people are involved. Nobody fights against himself. And one may be defending, the other may be the aggressor, the other may be in the defense, on the defense side. So certainly at this point, we can blame the two parties. But something triggered something. That's the basis. But I want to take you back, to this whole dynamics about by-elections. By-elections remain flashpoints at all times. As a matter of fact, it's always easier to run an election for the whole country than to run it in one constituency or in a couple of polling stations. And that's where you realize that many of the violence that happen are usually tied to by-elections.
That's right.
Also is tied to by-elections. Treponim tied to by-elections. You would tie even Sankade's own to by-elections. You would tie even what's the name? Ablekuma is also a type of by-election, but we didn't even have a sitting member of parliament. We're finding one. And more narrow was that it was only happening in 19 polling stations.
That's right.
Out of some 200 or so, if I'm not mistaken. So that's the difficulty we have. When you have so many people going to a small area, let's say in this room, if you put 100 people here, it will be choking. Certainly somebody will step on somebody's toes. Somebody will anger the other. And all the forces are coming here. All the party forces, the MPP forces, the NDC force. When I say force, I mean party workers or party organizational team. Then the police is also there. And then other interest groups like maybe observer groups and all that. So naturally, for for by-elections, you have some of these infractions happening. But I think it's far-fetched. What should be happening is that in such circumstances, we should have a system that says that if you don't vote in that constituency, you have no business in that place. In any case, if we were running the main elections, it was the national elections, would you leave your place and go to another place? You would certainly have been within your constituency in voting because everybody's busy minding their business. So people should mind their business. That is to say that if you don't vote in that constituency, you don't have any business. If you don't have accreditation, so certified by the EC and the two political parties, because we all present, agents and all that. So those are known records. You present that you are getting accreditation to enter the constituency, you cannot go there. If you don't, you are not a delegate, a voter in that place, you cannot enter the environment. If you are a police officer and you are not on duty on that election day, you cannot go into those environments. And sometimes we should even go as far as preempting searches. And when I say searches, people have ammunition in their houses, people have guns in their houses, like what we saw with the pepper spray. She actually came to the station with it. Such a person shouldn't have been allowed within the confines of the police stations. In fact, our laws, our CI that established our electoral law says that when somebody is found like that and either taken to the police station or jailed or whatever, you are banned from contesting or participating in electoral processes. Some of these laws we do not even implement, and that's why we have what we have. Otherwise, somebody like Howard Kumsi should have been banned from coming anywhere close.
You say giving her past
records. If the MPP government was minded and had investigated some of these records and taken her through the rigors of the law, I'm sure she would have been banned from entering in the environment where we have elections. But that did not happen. She showed up there with a certain mentality. Even now, the national organizer just stated on record that they are going to Akwatia prepared and ready for war or whatever, this or ready for whatever. It was an aggressive statement. Do you think that I'm a fool, to keep quiet, that my opponent is telling me that I'll show you Pepe, come to that place and we see, and I'm going to go empty? Certainly I may not. I may be just one of the few, but many other people who are interested, who are already aggressive people, will go there prepared. And this is what triggers the kind of hot environment we see. For instance, somebody like that, by now the police should have barred him from entering the environment called elections in Akwatia. He must not go anywhere near, because such a person has already preconceived in his mind what is likely to happen, what he's going to do. Why am I carrying pepper spray around? Pepper spray, what do we carry around? In fact, per our laws, the Act 29 of our of 1960, which is the Criminal Offences Act, labels something like a pepper spray as a weapon. Because in our criminal conventions and laws, a weapon is anything that can be adapted for use, for aggression. So if I carry even this microphone, I can use it to hurt you. It's a weapon. You understand? So you didn't even need to carry that into the environment. But she carried it. People already, let me use the word, targeted her because of her past record, having shot somebody.
So you admit that there was that preconceived idea that this lady, maybe as she's coming here, anything can happen, because we saw that interaction.
Of course.
Live on air.
Yeah, of course. What is her business there? Does she vote in that place? Is she a member of the MPP, leadership?
But on that score, because...
No, I'm going to go. Let me before you get there. The party also had issued a statement that they were not contesting the elections.
But we saw their flag bearer hopefuls the night before.
So that is where the problem is.
there.
I'm sure if they had indicated to the EC and to the Electoral Commission and the police their readiness to participate in the election, there would have been better preparations. There would have been better coordination. There would have been better liaison, activities within the period to show who is a delegate, who is not a delegate, who is mandated to be there, who is not mandated to be there. But we were flooded with all kinds of people coming into constituency for no reason. Number 3, that particular polling station where the Methodist churches has always been flagged for violence.
It's a hotspot.
Yes, in almost all elections. So I didn't think that some of those things would have happened. The police are ready, willing to do what is needful to ensure a peaceful elections. But are the parties also ready? It's one thing the police being ready and asking for cooperation from the people, and they are not ready. If the two parties are fighting, what should the police do? Of course, it's not the police coming to fight over there. It will be the two political parties or two, factions that will be doing the fighting. The police can only intervene in such a case. Now, what is annoying in all this matter is that we're going to Akwatia. Akwatia is only 116 police stations.
Right.
Imagine all of us run into that constituency. What's going to happen? We have a voter population of about 18 or so million. Imagine the NDC having garnered some 6 million votes in the last elections, decides that, okay, all the 6 million come to Akwatia. Imagine what will happen. So we need a proper regulation, a proper policing system that allows people only who are required to be voting in that place to be in that environment. That we can have a more peaceful environment in terms of that elections. But to start calling on your members from the north, from the Volta region, from wherever that come to Akwatia, we're going to vote in Akwatia. What are you going to do? This is not the time to campaign to anybody. Everybody there know what is happening in this country, what they have suffered before, what they are suffering today, and what the future is likely to be. They've already made up their mind who they're going to vote for. There's no last-minute campaigning now that can readily change anybody's mind, unless you want to go there and steal the elections. Then you will be so aggressive about what to do. We said that the elections are won at the polling stations. So if you go to a polling station and you're able to make sure that the right things are done, people are out, they voted, and you trust that they have voted for you, you wouldn't come to a coalition center and be fighting. And so the challenge of this country is that the laws are there, enforcement is also ongoing, but the parties do not cooperate with the police in this regard. Almost all the elections we have seen in the past that resulted in violence have been between civilians. Then the police intervene and all that. Apart from Aya also West Ogun, where we saw open violence from the police, and maybe even this one, Ablekuman, where a journalist was assaulted and all that. We think that was unfair. Even those ones, the police people who were involved have already been picked up, they've been questioned and all that. So indeed, we have a systemic problem, and that problem is that anytime a party is in opposition, we think that all the organs of state, all the state institutions are against the opposition party, and then when you are in government, we seem to think that they are in line with the one in government. I think that is a mistrust. That is where we need to be working to deal with. Number 2, a lot of education will also help us. Like you stated in the past, we would have had groups like National Commission for Civic Education,
yes,
some education, Peace Council.
In fact, that's a good point. The NCC is missing in action.
Yeah, they are lost. They're virtually lost. And I think that's where our problem. Civic education is lost in this country. 2, National Peace Council. What do? Nothing. They only wait until there's crisis. Then they are calling to meet leaders and all that. For what? You have to be preemptive of some of these hotspots and begin to go in and put in systems. If you have a peace council that is active and working, by now there should be a lot of consultations in the constituency. One is to engage the churches, because almost everybody who votes, a large portion of them are in the churches. They are in the mosques. And they're also in the traditional environment. So if you engage all these 3 major religious arms properly and accurately and effectively, including the assemblies or the assembly members or the municipal assembly itself, and you do that town hall engagement and educate them on why they need to vote peacefully, why they need to vote and go home, why they don't need to be violent, I think that would have been suppressing all this chaos we see. And largely, most of the times when there's chaos, it's always from a certain known group of people in the two parties. Either people who felt that they do arm wrestling, or they have body
what we call macho men.
Macho men, we seem to engage them, and they seem to be in business because somebody somewhere may be funding them and all that. at what point are we going to regulate some of these things? You go these days, you pass by people's houses and they have all these what's the name, makeshift gym structures, and nobody cares. People are actually dying in some of those instances where they are lifting something, they fall from them, because it is for people who are instructors to instruct some of those people to do this. There are also drugs in this country that you can take to build up your body.
Indeed.
Body, building drugs and all that. Who is controlling all of this? Number 3, in all these circumstances, there's also drug abuse. There's also abuse of drugs in this country.
That's right.
Which also influences the violence we see in this country. Who is controlling all of this? Where are these drugs going to? Some few days, months ago, weeks ago, we were fighting about owning red and all that. Today, the campaign is virtually out. Nobody's talking about it.
But we know that the drug is still in our communities.
Yes, the drug is still in our community. We have not communicated clearly if we have banned those things from our port and all that. And what are the sanctions for people who are in possession of some of these drugs? We don't seem to be doing anything. And beyond those drugs, it's actually the other ones, the hard ones like the ephedrine, the cocaine, and all the others that are also being used and abused by all that. So we need a more holistic approach. You shouldn't just take an election period, an election time, or an election event, then you see everybody running around and saying peace, peace, peace. No, it is a cultural thing that has to be dealt with. Right from our secondary schools, right from our junior high schools, we need to be able to find some solution to some of these things. Finally, you will observe that a lot of the people who are involved in the violence are below perhaps the educated bracket, below the educated bracket. So it means that even education being a challenge for this country is also playing a role in our electoral politics. Yes, we do agree that violence knows no, whether you are educated or not educated, it knows nobody. But it's more rampant, it's more loud, it's more pronounced amongst people who do not have any form of education or of a sort. Yes, we saw the U.S. elections that also resulted in some violence way after the election, but not on the day of elections. That was somebody not refusing to hand over, perceived to be refusing to hand over, and people besieged the Oval House and all that. But that's by the side. But ours has to do with elections. And the strange thing in all this matter, majority of the people who fight for this thing don't even get anything in government. They don't even get appointment.
And in fact, that's what causes a lot of angst, because down the line they say, I did this for the party, I was, at the forefront, I went and did this, and I got nothing.
Exactly. So both the NDC and the MPP, my party, the NDC and the MPP, we do have a job to do, and that job is to dishonestly assess ourselves. Dispassionately assess ourselves, and honestly begin to implement structures that educate our people, that helps them to gain education, that helps them to get information, that helps them to be employed. If we can both do this consciously for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, whatever, we're transforming this country at a go. But if we cannot do that, then we're just going to be shouting rooftop because we're in opposition, because we are being manhandled, and because we are being, treated some way, somehow. So we're making the noise. It won't go nowhere. It was just like a circle. Today the NDC is in power. The MPP thinks everybody's in bed with us. Another the NDC may be thinking along another line. So we have a difficulty, and that difficulty has to be dealt with by the parties involved in this space. And
I'm grateful that you expand the tentacles of this conversation. Like you say, it's a multi-pronged approach, and in fact getting to the core of some of these issues could mean that, you say if the youth, they are employed, they're not going to wake up on a Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning to find themselves at a polling station if they have something better to do with their lives. And also that angle about drug abuse as well. It's easier to sway a mind that is already not even thinking in the right direction. And so I hope that this is a conversation that we can even spearhead as the media to find a lasting solution to some of this. So is it the NDC's, is it going to be a rule in place that come September 2nd, only those that are supposed to be at the by-election will be there? Because often we'll see that you'll have big wigs in the party going there to whip up support or whip up the fan base. Are you saying that that's not going to happen?
I am saying that obviously there will be other big wigs, going to the constituency. But I'm saying that this should come with accreditation.
Okay.
We should know who is going.
Right.
So that when there is violence, we can track. It is these people we give the accreditation to. They are the ones who went to the constituency as strangers. If something happens and we're talking about people who went there who are not indigents, it will be easy to get these people. Now, obviously, those indigenous in that area know themselves largely. I mean, I come from Ketu South. I largely know majority of the people. You know, either a family will know somebody. I may not know everybody, but you will know quite a number. Or you know somebody in that area that you can speak to get information from whichever. So the indigenous themselves know how to fish out who is been involved in some chaos or the other. But when you have an external person coming in to do it, they don't know. And so even investigations by the police becomes difficult. Because yes, you are saying that somebody came to cause a mess, but who is the person? Nobody wants to say it. And whoever went there won't say it too. Unless it's captured on TV or radio or on camera. If that is the case, then you'll still have to do some more work to find this person. But the difficulty has to do with accreditation. Which people are going to that place on the day? What are their roles? What are they going to do? Where would they be stationed? And what form of accreditation are we giving to these people? But the indigenous within the area don't need some of those. Now, so if there is violence, and the violence is between the indigenous, it's very easy for them to choke, like we say in Pidgin, choke each other. They will choke you easily because they know you, and you can't hide your identity. But when you're coming from Chereponi, or you're coming from Aflau to come and cause mayhem in Akwatia, who knows you there? You came to do an operation, you are going back. Nobody may even tell who you are. You may not even be on social media. We can even capture you on video, but we can't find you because we need people who can give lead to who that person is. And nobody is willing to say it. So beyond the police deployment of troops to that area is also the business of accreditation. They should be involved in the accreditation. Who is getting the ID card? Largely, when we talk about accreditation in this country, they just print all kinds of cards like maybe, delegates. Print so many.
So it doesn't even have a particular name?
Don't even know who.
Okay, just like a uniform,
just a tag, a random tag that everybody puts on. You can remove from anybody's neck and put on there. And I think that's where the problem is. Akwatia is a very small place, 116 polling stations. How many people should go there to go and do elections in that place?
I wonder, will you be there come September 2nd?
If I get accreditation, I'll be there. But if not, I don't have any business there.
You stay at home and mind your business.
Yeah, I will advocate for our candidate to win. But if I don't have accreditation, I have no business there.
Certainly. Well, we're wrapping up on the conversation on the Akwatia by-election. Finally, are you satisfied with the strategy of the police? They had a simulation. They've deployed some 600 police personnel. We've also heard from the IGP that he will not be answering any calls seeking to release anybody. He's got a mobile prison. All of that, does that sit well with you? Are you confident that it will be a peaceful day?
I think that it will be a peaceful day. The lessons of Akwatia of Ablekuma is very fresh in our minds, and I'm sure Ghanaians don't want to see a repeat of Ablekuma. So I'm very excited that they are doing all of this. But I have always said that, you see, when it comes to peace and enforcement, it is not the remote strategy you put in place. It is the engagement. The whole world has been talking, and I want to give you a very weird example. The whole world has been talking about peace in Ukraine and Russia for a while.
That's right.
It's over a year, going to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 2 years already. But have you realized that in all those processes, none worked until now, recently, that Donald Trump decided to bring them together?
Indeed.
He met the other one later. Now he wants to meet the two together in one meeting. That's the process. That's the engagement. The two factions, the two parties that are engaged in the conflict need to sit on the table. Face to face, not phone calls, not assumptions, not trying to cajole them, not trying to talk to them from but bring them to the table. What are your concerns? Why is the reason why you are doing what you are doing? Can we stop it? If I stop it and I give you this, will you stop? Yes. Those are pragmatic steps at peace, enforcement, rather than just the strategies.
Wanda, thank you so much for your time this morning and for shedding some light on what's going to be happening come September 2nd. I'm sure we'll have some time either to talk right before or right after. I was going to ask who is winning, but I think I know from your perspective exactly who you are backing come September 2nd. But again, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for your time this morning. Let's cross over now and listen to what is going on the grounds. We have the 2025 BBC Komla Dumont Award right here in Media General. Godwin Asidiba is the man of the moment. Do take a listen.
Madam, I can go.
92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
that is happening to Ghana, and it's in all such instances that happen to Media General, and we are very proud of that.
Thank you. Godwin, what have you to say?
First of all, I would want to tell all of you that I am grateful. I appreciate.
Godwin, what have you to say?
First of all, I would want to tell all of you that I am grateful. I appreciate the fact that all of you are out here to celebrate me today. I've cried a lot, I've prayed a lot, and I've anticipated for this moment for a very long time. I remember 2 years ago, I was among you guys congratulating Parkway Siasare. I wish it could be me, but then what did I do? I worked towards it. I persevered, and look at me today, I am here. So I just want to say that it is possible for every young journalist who works with Media General. Just keep doing the good work, and at the right time, it will be recognized. I'm grateful. I mean, this is going to propel me to higher heights. Komla Dumo, we all knew, stood for dignity and clarity when it comes to journalism, and having to walk on his path, I feel, is something that is really great, and I'm going to make all of you proud. Thank you.
The party did not add is that what portion of the $10,000 is he sharing to all of us who helped him to work? What say ye? You don't want to say anything. All right. So now let me introduce the creme de la creme of Media General to you, the winning team, 2.0. Yeah, 2.0. It's come to Ghana twice, and it is us. We have to be bragging about it. Mabel Akubanas is deputy in charge of our news department here. Mr. Daniel Matiama is the man who looks after all the sales and marketing and gives Godwin's stories the push. Also, Mr. Makafui Manyo is the man in charge of all of our corporate services and shared services. We have our group chief finance officer here. He's wearing a beard. He's not a Gen Z, by the way. We have our group CEO as well, Beatrice Ajiman, you know her. We have our latest freshly minted awardee, Gordon Asedeba. We have also Mr. Nyama Famea, who is here. Cool, calm, collected, but when he sends you a memo, you feel it in your bones. Yeah. We also have Asus Ahiable here, is a general manager of news. And then we have if you are looking for tilapia and you can't find him, find this man, you will find him. Yeah. He's our online and head of digital. And to all of you, we're grateful indeed. We'll now go into our world-class studio and show you where we curate the stories from, and then we will bend your eyes small. So take your time and come with us as we go to the studio. Gordon, let's go to the studio. Yes, let's go to the studio. Let's go to the studio and show the people how it is done nicely. And we'll say a very big thank you to the 48 Engineers Regiment Cadet of the Presbyterian Secondary School. Maybe hold on. One step. So that's 48 Engineers Regiment of the Presbyterian Secondary School, and we're taking you through so you get a first-hand approach of how we do things here. We're very, very professional, we're dignified, we're excellent in what we do, and we're walking you into our multi-million-dollar studio right here at Media General, so you get to see how we do our things here. We don't do anything nyama and anything basa. That's Cookie Tea right there, giving Godwin a hug, man. That's Shadi, that's Shadrach. Shadrach is the producer for TV3 New Day, and that's Cliff as well. Cliff is the scorecard cameraman who's been giving us all the detail. Yes. No query yet, yeah? Okay, that's fine. That's why you are hugging Mabel. So we're walking down majestically into the studio, and you have Andani, you have Roland, you have Astus, you have all the guys who are here in the studio working so very, very hard. I'll hand over to now my senior brother and my senior colleague, Roland Walker, to take it over. Roland, this is the latest awardee. Charlie, the suit, you know. How can we afford it? With $10,000, then Charlie, BBC suit.
Sponsored by MG.
We take it in good faith. Roland, take it over.
3 3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station. 3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio Station. The best in the morning is on 92.7. Sunrise on 3FM.
To do?
Okay.
3FM 92.7. Urban Lifestyle Radio.
Okay, Godwin, Sidiba. Yeah.
The best in the morning is
Great.
on 92.
Congratulations to you. Myself and Cookie T were welcoming you gracefully. Have a seat.
I'm excited about this.
This is a seat you already used to sit on. Sit down. Great. My father didn't took me to have mom. Now, it's just I hold a grudge. Apparently, some people knew it hours before I did, if not a day or two. But I think that's the most. I don't know whether you watched this morning. Incredibly, we paid a lot of appellations and homage to you, and I have to say that you are an epitome of somebody who decides to make a decision, set a goal, and then you go for it in your work. And kudos to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations once again.
Thank you, Roland.
All right.
Thank you.
Shall we talk about the swag? Shall we talk about it? Shall we talk about it's giving? It's giving. You promised that you have delivered.
You know what?
Yes. Tell me.
Mabel called me this morning. It was like, Asideba, don't dress anyhow. Keep it simple.
Oh. She told you that?
This is the drip lord.
She doesn't know you. You know.
This is the drip lord of media
so you
general.
ooze. I said you ooze a lot of drip and glam.
Well, I dress to suit every occasion.
Right.
That's why when I'm reporting, when there's a conflict zone, you see me in all of the protective gear.
I see, but should I cross when I was studio? But today you cross your legs. Levels don't change.
Okay. Composure is really necessary at this point.
Anyway, congratulations to you once again.
Thank you.
But you've just been winning awards back to back since you moved to Media General, and I have to say it's been quite what the Americans would say a roller coaster.
Right.
How's it been for you? The journey into Media General and perhaps how awesome or unawesome we are.
I think joining Media General, I would say, was the start for me as a journalist. Beginning from the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, fast forward to the EIB network, GH1 Television, fantastic newsroom. I had a lot of training in there under Nanaba Namwa. Together with Alice Aite, who was the managing news editor then. Redwan was a producer, Dan Soa, together with a lot more talented individuals who were in the newsroom. Pitching ideas was something that I didn't really have, but then I learned it from GH1 TV. And fast forward coming to Media General as well, it's been the same practical work, you know, learning more to become a professional, knowing how wide your leverage is and how my stories can easily get attention. I realized that I needed to get my facts right when I'm reporting on anything. So coming to Media General, I would say was the start point for me as a journalist. It's really opened a lot of doors for me, not just locally, but internationally as well. And look at me today.
Oh, certainly. You just came back from the UK about just a little over a month ago.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Winning the
Michael Elliott Award.
Yeah, that is under the auspices of The Economy. It's a great magazine.
Absolutely. Okay. ICFJ, International Center for Journalists, by the work hand in hand with The Economist as well. Winning that with a mortuary investigation that I worked on, Troubled Morgue, which revealed the appalling state of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital mortuary. I was excited that I got a lot of attention. That was the second time I went there 2 years after breaking the story, and to know that the situation was really bad, I felt it was a story that I needed to let people know what it was about. You know, previously, it's packed conversations. Some monies were allocated to renovate the facility, but all of that did not happen, and it really broke my heart. So hammering on it the second time again for it to not just get the local attention that it got earlier, but go further to an international platform, I felt was really humbling. So that was what the Michael Elliott Award was about, and it also gave me an opportunity to intern with The Economist in London as well.
Godwin, for most people, they just know you from the GH1 days. You of course, you mentioned Anaba, and then now coming to Media General. That's what most people or most of your fans remember. Who was Godwin before all of this?
Godwin was a young man who wanted to be on television, but he was unsure of exactly what he wanted to do.
Okay.
So I did a little bit of acting. I've done a few commercials here and there. Yes, for some brands.
Okay.
I go for acting auditions and I don't really get called. Along the line, I mean, I used to do presenting stuff on when I was in senior high school and junior high school. I'll be the person when there's an announcement in the classroom. Oh, let Godwin do it. When there's an assembly ground and like you need to give an announcement. We had this debaters club thing and I was the one doing all of the talking and all of the reading. So there was a flair in the way I talk and all of that. I knew there was something, but then I needed to polish it up a little to become a professional. So I enrolled at the Ghana Institute of Journalism. I started with a diploma course in 2016, completing and topping up with a degree as well. So after diploma was when I ended up at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation under the supervision of Valerie Danso of the entertainment desk. So I started doing entertainment reporting. There were times Valerie believed so much in me that she could give me the show to host. Yes, Valerie gave me the platform. It came with a lot of backlash, but she was like, you can do it. And I am really grateful that she gave me that opportunity. She was one of the people that believed in me from the beginning.
Valerie Danso.
Yes.
Congratulations to you, Valerie Danso.
Valerie Danso.
She must be proud wherever she is right now. Are you still in touch with her?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
We are. I hold her in high esteem because she did, she gave me some level of confidence. So, yeah, so that was it basically for me. When I ended there, I wanted to be on TV to read the news. Whilst on the journey, I realized being a journalist is not just about sitting on TV, talking on shows or reading the news. It comes with a lot of work as well. That was when the reporting came in, and then I fell in love with the reporting and and found my niche.
Your most difficult reporting job, would you remember?
Most difficult, most difficult. I would still say Troubled Morgue was one of the difficult projects that I worked on because going in there and seeing all of these bodies that I was surrounded by, others deteriorating, breeding maggots, house flies all around. As I am talking to you, I can still
vividly see the pictures.
Absolutely. And it's something that is going to be with me forever. And going there the first time, the second time again, you can tell how damaging that can be to my mental health. But I needed to get a story done. Exactly. So usually everyone would say, oh, I'm passionate about the job. But I think my love for the job goes beyond passion. What I find so much satisfaction on is when the story is being told, gets the attention and gets results. When it gets results, I am pleased, I'm excited, and that's what I'm all about.
Have you had some life-threatening moments on the job?
Absolutely. I don't know if this will be okay for me to say, but I'll just hold it back. But I worked on a documentary recently titled Trapped in War, and I had to travel all the way to Ukraine to work on that story. It was one of the daring journeys that I took, but then I did an earlier story on these young men who were deceived and lured to the front line of the war in Ukraine. We've all seen videos and pictures, and we know how a war zone can be very chaotic. So when I got the opportunity to visit Ukraine, and I told them that I would want to go to the front line to get to these Ghanaians, I gave them the location and everything, and they were willing to take me there. I asked myself a lot of questions, at home, and even spoke with my mom and dad. My mom and they were against it from the beginning, but at the end of the day, I was able to convince them, like, that's what you want to do, so
go ahead.
So I went to Ukraine. When we got there, things were a bit chaotic on the front line, so the security team advised that we won't go to exactly where the shooting is happening, but we can go a little closer. So I mean, to be able to gather that confidence, go to the extent, I mean, traveling to Ukraine, airports are closed, we have to use different routes. I mean, anything can happen on the journey, but then I took it went there to work on that story, and I would say that it should be one of the most daring journeys that
you've ever been on. Congratulations to you, Godwin.
One of the things I've always admired you for is how you are able to get subjects to speak to you on very sensitive and very difficult issues plaguing society, whether it's drug abuse, you know, people who are falling by the side due to teenage pregnancy or are facing issues. For example, how you get somebody who is a so-called mortuary man in our local parlance to be able to speak to you, even though we have stigma associated with people who work in that industry, among many other related subjects. How were you able to do that?
I think as a journalist, one of the things that you need to really pay attention to is to have the sense or the nose for news. You should be able to sniff a story when you find yourself in a surrounding. You understand? That is very important for you to have from the beginning as a journalist. I mean, I don't know if I should say it's a talent or it's just a blessing, but once I find myself in a community, it could be anywhere, even here in the studio, I can easily pitch an idea and execute it. And I think a lot of it goes into how you tell the story. I like to humanize my story a lot because I want people to be able to relate to the stories that I tell. Other journalists would want to go straight to the point and talk about what the story is about. I feel that is boring. People want to see something that is new. If I'm talking about Cookie wearing a beautiful hair, I can just go straight to the point. Would want to see how the lace is being laid on the forehead.
You know why I'm smiling, right? Because drama kakra.
A lot of people will say that is drama, but that is what people want to see. You take them on a journey. You know, you just don't go straight to the point and then write a script and read it out. You need to tell a story. That's why we say it's a storytelling, you understand? You need to narrate it for people to fall in love with the story. And at the end of the day, take what you're supposed to take out of the story so that you can get the results that you're looking for.
Okay.
Right.
Godwin, so this award is coming with a number of things, including your 3-month stay with the BBC.
Absolutely.
It's a dream come true, isn't it?
Is it? You know, when the announcement came, I was so overwhelmed. You know, I tell people, you saw me a few days ago and you were like, oh, why are you so down? I didn't know how to react to it because the journey to you being the winner is not an easy task. You apply, you get on interviews with a panel who are asking you back-to-back questions. You write an exam before. So, I mean, I remember after writing the exam, they told me, oh, that's your last. Then days later, I get an email that you need to answer to some questions again. I'm like, what is it again?
Right.
So I tuned in. If you look at my video that they used to, I was just like this. On the Zoom.
And so they took you by surprise.
Exactly.
Oh, you didn't think it was the next thing that was going to come?
No.
Oh, okay.
So they got the reaction and everything. And when she said, I was like, huh? And then I was like, wow.
I think it's their own way of getting your natural reaction to the announcement. So what's the 3-month plan for you?
So the beginning will be to know more about the BBC, their policies, how they go about their work, the system, to get used to it. I also pitched an idea. Before you apply, you need to pitch an idea that you want to execute, not where you live, but in a different country. So I pitched an idea in Nigeria which has to do with climate change. I've been dreaming about that story for a very long time. So I can't wait to have my hands on it and have it premiered on the BBC.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so that is what it's all about. So it's about knowing about the organization, going for trainings at the various departments. You go to digital, Focus on Africa newsroom, BBC World News, BBC Radio. You go to all of those departments to enrich yourself with so much knowledge.
All right. It's going to be a lot that you're going to learn within the 3-month period. So after that is when you go to Nigeria to work on that story.
Yes.
Fantastic. Yes. Godwin, we're super proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm sure many of the young ones who look up to you, not just your journalism, your style, and even your casual life in general, are all watching right now. What do you have to tell them?
It's not easy. It is not easy. I remember when the year began, I asked myself what I was doing with my life, because you work on a lot of stories, you win awards, you get to a point where you start to ask yourself, what again? Do I really want to?
Yeah.
Do I really want to do this? I got to that point, but then it never stopped me. I kept doing the stories. I went to places, heard the voices of the less privileged. I mean, I kept on chasing the dream, you understand? So once this opportunity came and then I hopped on it, and look at me now, I will just use this opportunity to tell them that if you really want to be a journalist, you need to put in the work. You shouldn't be relaxed, you know, seeing Roland Walker on TV or Cookie T and think it's all about them just waking up, coming here to sit. You do a lot of reading.
92.7 Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
Godwin Asedeba, he says if you want to be a journalist, you've got to put in the work. It's not just about the glitz and the glamour. Big congratulations going out to Godwin Asedeba. He is the BBC Komla Dumont 2025 winner. Some $10,000 US in his pockets. My goodness, very exciting times indeed. And so we know that he's going to have a lot of friends today. Godwin, we're so proud of you, so excited by your journey, and I'm sure we'll be able to have a more lengthy conversation with him right here in our 3FM studios. But what a morning it has been so far. Thank you so much for deciding to start your morning with us. But as we always